That's helping. This is about to turn into a different video. So at the end of the episode, Picard and 7 and 9 share this little moment where they talk about the fact that neither of them has reclaimed their lost humanity, or at least all of it, during their time when they were assimilated with the Borg. And Picard goes on to say that they can both work on reclaiming that lost humanity together. And for a moment, it seems like 7 to 9 was on board until she borrowed 2 phasers and then teleported back down to the bar they were at and shot Jay dead. I do not think that's what Picard meant by reclaiming humanity. Just saying. Hi guys, my name is Maria Park and this is Approach to Nerd. And in this episode, we are reviewing Picard episode 5 entitled Stardust City Rag. This episode was a lot faster paced than the previous episode. So where we were crawling in the first 4, we are literally starting our home stretch right now, which makes sense because there's only 5 episodes now left. So, a lot of revelations. So where to begin? The episode actually took us to a planet called Vergessen. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I'm saying it. And it's this I guess it's like an underground facility or like a medical facility. I don't really know. It could be like something shady, but it was called the 7 Domes. And inside of this dome, there was a shady medical team extracting Borg parts from this man named Icheb, who we would learn later on was because he's dead, is the pseudo son of 7. So apparently he was a ranger, ex-Starfleet, former Borg, who worked as a ranger with 7 of 9. And he got a distress call and went to check out, where the signal was coming from, but it was ambushed. And long story short, he was basically harvested for his Borg parts, which is absolutely disturbing. And they did this without any anesthesia while he was completely awake and without any regard for his life. We do see that 7 and 9 comes in and shoots all of the shady butchers, basically, but Ichib doesn't want to go on like that and begs her to shoot him, and she does. So that starts off the episode. Then we see Bruce Maddox, who is basically doing something I think is very stupid. So he apparently borrowed money from, I'm going to call her an intergalactic loan shark who will do anything for cash, which is very interesting because, again, we're in the Star Trek universe and I didn't realize that money was that big of a deal. I know Ferengis are very, very greedy and will do anything for trade and whatever. But I mean, I didn't realize that money was such a big deal in Picard's universe because it never seemed to be a thing in the Star Trek universe. I mean, the monetary system is non-existent. I don't get it, but that's neither here nor there. So anyway, this woman, Bajazzel, as I'm calling Bajazzel, I'm going to call her Jay actually, because I don't want to say her whole name this whole episode because I'm lazy. So Jay lent money to Bruce, which I'm assuming was to fund his research where he was able to build or create Daj and Soji. And he went back to her saying, oh, they blew up my lab, the Tal Shiar is after me, everything is blown up, I can't pay you your money back, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm like, if you borrowed money from somebody as shady as this woman looks, why in the heck would you go back to her for help and to let her know you have no way of paying her back? I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense to me, but it's Bruce. So she's like, okay, because at first she was going to have one of her little henchmen kill him. But then she changed her mind and decided to figure out why he was there, what he was running from. And while he was spilling his guts, she was giving him this alcoholic beverage or drink that was pretty much drugged to drug him. And once she figured out that the Tal Shiar was after her or him, she made a decision that she was going to make a negotiation with them to see what she can get out of this deal. So either sell him or trade, whatever. But she didn't want to do it herself because, hey, the Romulans in general are not very agreeable and easy to deal with. So the Tal Shiar definitely not ones to mess with. So she puts an ad on this underground job board that they have in Free Cloud, I guess. And Raffi's able to find this post saying, hey, they need somebody who will be a liaison between the Tal Shiar and them. And that's where they figure their in is, because they know that Bruce Maddox, they found him on the board because she mentions having him. So they're like, okay, we need to get Bruce back. They need a liaison. Hey, let's do an elaborate plan and send Rios down as a facer, which is what I guess they call somebody who do odd jobs for shady organizations that doesn't take sides, a neutral criminal or whatever. They dress him up like a pimp. It's really funny. Like all these bright colors. They send Picard as the client down with Eleanor. Now, Eleanor is like very, very upset, by the way, that he's more of a my pace guy. So he doesn't get what they're saying quickly. It comes to him like maybe 10 minutes later. There's a scene where when they first go to Stardust City, or they're like right there at the entrance, they start getting all of these like entertainment holograms that are all suited to who they are. So Picard got one that's like, oh, high tea at this fancy hotel. And then we have one where Rios has a mechanic, which is obviously really good at fixing his type of ship. And then we have one for Agnes or Aggie, which is really funny because she's really good with synthetics and she specializes in them. And there's a robot that's basically beating the crap out of her and she has to knock off its head. And then we have Raffi, who is basically getting an advertisement for snake pot. And that is what I'm calling what she does. It is pot from snake venom. It is snake pot. And it's like a dealer saying, hey, come down here and smoke out. And she like knocks it aside. So everybody had a thing except for our favorite Romulan warrior. And he is not happy about it. He's like, well, I didn't get anything. And they're just kind of looking at him like, okay. Side note, Picard has not let any of them know how badass Eleanor is because they're all treating him like a kid and they don't realize that he could literally kill everybody on that ship in seconds. But that's neither here nor there. All right, so long story short, in this episode, so 7 and 9, who we saw in the last episode, helped them with their, when they're being attacked by a bird of prey, is on the ship. She talks about her time with the Rangers and how, when the Federation pulled out, and just kind of abandoned the evacuation of the Romulans during the supernova, that the Rangers took it upon themselves to basically be cops. They were keeping order on all the planets that the Federation left. And that's how she met Jay. Jay basically pretended to be one of them to get close to her because she was trying to get parts, Borg parts, which are very valuable in this universe. So yeah, 7 and 9, or 7 decided to take her out because she felt guilty that she's the one that told her about her pseudo-son Icheb. And had she not told her about him, then he probably would have never been on her radar and he wouldn't be dead. So she has a big grudge. So she loses herself. She lets them use her actually as bait. And they're thinking, Picard and everyone's thinking that 7 is doing that to help them, find Soji and get information from Bruce on where Soji is. But in reality, she's doing it so she can kill Jay. She wants to get close, like really close, personal to her. And they, of course, have that history. All right, so that's cool. And the whole scene between Picard and 7 of 9, where he's kind of not approving of her methods of being a ranger, basically calling her a vigilante and saying you're not, you're going against the law, or you're not following the law. And her response is like, what law? Which I think is ironic because technically Picard's breaking the law right now. So just saying. But anyway, so that's neither here nor there. So moving on. So we have that. We have 7 of 9's motivation. She's basically going to kill Jay. They're all trying to get Bruce back because they want to know where Soji is. And then we have Raffi, who helps them set everything up, but then basically says goodbye because she's on Free Cloud. This is where she was trying to get to. And we realize the reason that is because her son Gabriel is on Free Cloud. He's in Stardust City. He is actually waiting on his wife, who's going through, I guess, a prenatal appointment because she's pregnant with their daughter. And Raffi shows up and Gabriel is not thrilled to see her because when everything went down originally after Picard resigned, or basically was, tried to threaten resignation, they basically took it. And we know Raffi basically lost her job. She started basically doing drugs. She became a druggie, and she was married and had a son, and she ruined her marriage and ruined her. She was basically a crap mom, according to him. She wasn't there for him. He's a very angry guy. And so she comes to him saying she's working on her life. She's changed. She's trying to get everything together. And he's like, yeah. And he just starts bringing up the past, that she was never there. And that all her theories about the Romulans being involved with their own demise and blah, blah, blah was all crap. And, paranoia. And that kind of sets her off. And she's like, no, there really is stuff going on. And he's like looking at her like, yeah, it didn't change. Nothing's changed. So son doesn't want her around. It's pretty bad. Like, he even introduces his mother to his wife, but says she's on her way out. She'll only be here for a few seconds. She's just passing through, even though Raffi actually was coming to spend time with him and work on the relationship. He just basically told her to get lost. So she ends up back on the ship. So, it is what it is. And then something else, we actually got to meet a new species, which actually he may not be a new species for Trekkies who have better memories than me. The Beta Anari, which are the sentient reptilian aliens who they basically have the ability to tell if you're lying through your scent and what you've eaten and if you've had sex recently, like crazy stuff. But they're basically lie detectors. And this is the goon that is on the contract or works under contract for Jay. And that's who they initially meet. And he goes by Mr. Vop. So Mr. Vop is who Rios comes in contact with. And because he has that ability, they shot him up on the ship with like drugs, basically, to slow his blood pressure and lower all of his, anything that could basically be detectable by him as being lying. Anything, heart rate, all of that stuff, just kind of, and you could see it on his face, like it kicked in right as the, conveniently, right when Mr. Vup was talking to him, he kind of went a little loopy. So, but yeah, so he passed the lying test, and of course, Picard's putting on a very thick French accent. He's got like an eye patch. He's dressed like a pirate. It's absolutely hilarious. He's the client that hired, the facer Rios to make this deal for Maddox. But long story short, Picard realizes that 7 to 9 is only there to get revenge. He's like, no, you shouldn't do that, yada, yada. So everybody beams up with Bruce back to the ship. And then Bruce tells Picard where Soji is, and that the reason that Dahj was on Earth and Soji is on the artifact, or the found or claimed Borg cube, is because he sent her to investigate the Romulan connection with what's going on in the conspiracy, because he knows something's going on, and he sent Dahj to Earth to basically handle the Starfleet side. So he knows Starfleet's involved, and he knows that the Romulans are involved in something. He just doesn't know what they're hiding, and he sent his daughters out to figure out what it is. And that is pretty much all that Picard needed to know. So we know he's going off now to the artifact, which is going to be interesting for him, because I don't think he's been back to the Borg cube since he was saved from being assimilated in the Borg Queen. So I think a lot of trauma is going to happen with that. But it's good to know now that the story is definitely progressing now. They know where Soji is. They know how to get to her. They're setting coordinates to go to that location. Now here comes the bigger surprise here. Is little mousy, meek Agnes Jurati. Dr. Jurati is actually a double agent, because when they have Bruce Maddox in, we learn 2 interesting facts. Number 1, they were a couple, and we see this earlier on. She's looking at videos of him making homemade chocolate chip cookies, because he doesn't want to use he doesn't want to have a food replica of the cookies. He wants to actually make them from scratch. And then we see him in sickbay, and she's getting ready to shoot him up with some stuff to calm him down. And after Picard gets information about Soji, she basically starts killing him. And she says, I wish I don't know what I know now. I wish they hadn't shown me what I know. I'm sorry. And she's crying, and she kills her former lover. But we also learned right before he died that Dr. Jurati, or Aggie, was very instrumental in the creation of Dahj and Soji. So I don't know if that means that they used her eggs to actually create synthetic beings that are perfectly imperfect. I don't know. But she's never met them, but she was very instrumental. Her contribution helped. So yeah. So at this point, we know that Aggie swallowed the destroyer Kool-Aid. She basically is on board with believing that Soji is the end of all, and that's why she's helping out O and Rizzo and Narek's cause to get rid of Soji and anybody else who had a connection to that. So Bruce had to die, and Soji, I think she's going to try to kill her too. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, Aggie is no good. Reluctantly no good. I think she's impressionable, and they played on her humanity, and so she thinks she's actually saving people, and in reality she's not. She's actually making the situation worse. So Picard has some problems. But all in all, this episode, I really liked it. I mean, I did. I thought this was really cool. Stardust City reminds me of a futuristic version of Las Vegas, which I think we'll probably see if Netflix ever releases the live action Cowboy Bebop, because that does look like somewhere that they would go for port. I'm just saying. But yeah, I mean, I loved how the city looked. I loved the layout. I loved the pace of this episode. It was not slow, lots of revelations, and some of it was pretty funny. So, I mean, other than the monetary stuff that always confuses me, because I don't get why so many people are obsessed with money in Star Trek, because that's never been a thing, I really enjoyed this episode. But that is my opinion. So I want to know what you guys think. Leave me a comment below and let me know. And if you would like to sign up for jury duty, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to know who's next on the Nerd Bell, hit the notification bell. Until next time, I can't wait for you to approach the nerd. Bye, guys. Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it, but hey, the party doesn't have to stop now. Click on one of these videos and keep it going.